Hey folks, Greg here from One-Eyed Werebear Gaming. I'd like to, well, I'd say talk, but maybe rant a little bit about world building a little bit, and kind of uh, focusing a bit upon the ecology. You see, the thing is, one thing that I find with a lot of D&D publications, especially the official ones, is that they're kind of they're a mile wide and an inch deep. You get a lot of cool stuff on the surface. You get a lot of monsters that are thrown into situations because it make for an awesome fight, and they got some cool abilities, and it can be fun, right? And at the end of the day, that's not terrible. I mean, we're here to play a game. The game needs to be fun more than anything else, and that's not the end of the world if it kind of stops there. That having been said, it can be quite useful for dungeon masters to flesh it out a little bit. So for our publication, Excessive Excavations, we often start our brainstorming sessions from the title. We throw a bunch of titles out there. We tend to like alliteration, not gonna lie. So I kind of someone suggested Excessive Excavations, and I kind of latched upon that. So I thought to myself, okay, excessive excavations. Who's excavating too much? Dwarves, obviously, as they do. But obviously taking a bit of inspiration from Lord of the Rings, Mines of Moria, so on and so forth. I thought we wanted to just be a bit of a little adventure. I'm not going to be disturbing a Balrog. I don't have Gandalf there. So I thought to myself, all right, what sort of things could they have disturbed that could lead to the confrontation that drives the plot for this adventure? So I had a look at some of the creatures in D&D that dig. There's a number of them out there, like the bullet. Those are fun little like land sharks and so on and so forth. But I came across the Ankeg. That's a fun creature. It's basically a kind of like a giant ant creature, big mandibles, big old crest on its head, and spits acid. All right, that can be fun, right? But I thought to myself, okay, so we got this creature. I could certainly use into the adventure, and I did. But where do we go from there? Because the thing is, it's an ant, right? We know that ants, in the actual ecology, they're not just one type of ant. There's going to be, you'll have worker ants, you'll have soldier ants, you'll have queen ants. Well, I kind of thought, well, how can I apply that to Dungeons and Dragons? So, I came up with a few variations. We got a worker ant cake, tiny little guy, digs a lot, reaches up and grabs you and drags you underneath. Fun times. Spitter ant, nimble little creature. Actually, going to model that one a bit upon model that a bit upon a praying mantis, kind of stylistically. But it's going to be hopping around and spitting acid at any invaders to the nest. Big old tank, just a massive creature that's going to hit you real hard. And then, of course, the queen. I'm sure anyone who's seen our Kickstarter page has noticed the giant queen at the top. That one was a bit fun to build. I took some inspiration there from the episode of Futurama where they have the slurm. So, spoiler alert a little bit. That's an episode where basically Fry finds out that this cola drink that he's addicted to is actually kind of made from the secretions of this giant slug creature, the Slurm Queen, which is gross and hilarious. So, for that one, I kind of like the visual representation that we had an artist do up. He Basically did this kind of like a cross between that and the regular ant egg. Just kind of this big bloated fat creature, tiny little arms that spits acid and can command and control other ant egg, because again it is the queen. And I think the result of that led to a bunch of game mechanics that worked out well. Now, I'll say it that way. It's not that we took game mechanics and then tried to fit it to the creature, but I think it really helps a lot for a lot of DMs to kind of take an extra step to go and think not just about what would be cool to have, but what would make sense to have, and then how can I make it cool? Because the rule of cool is, of course, vitally important. You need to have the adventure to be fun, but if you make the adventure make sense, and then once it makes sense, craft the mechanics in a way that fits the decisions that you're making, that in and of themselves make sense, then you're able to construct something that is both logical and fun. And I think that works out well for a lot of what we do. We do try to focus upon not just throwing cool stuff out there, but having a good explanation or backstory behind why these creatures act the way they do in the case of the Ankeg, or why, or in our previous publication, Loot Lemmings, why was, we put a fair amount of thought into why these traps were laid out why this temple was laid out in the way it was, in order to dissuade people from stealing the treasures, and then built the traps from there, not the other way around. I think it's an approach that certainly official publications should probably give a bit more focus upon. A lot of it's kind of, I find a lot of it's a bit disjointed, but it's free advice to any GMs. Just put a bit of effort into thinking to yourself, not just what am I going to do for this fight, but how am I going to set up this? What's motivating the things that are going to be fighting? Why is this encounter happening? And then build the mechanics from there. And you can always build the mechanics in a fun manner. You're not necessarily tying your hands there. You're not constraining yourself. But what you are doing is you're opening up options that have, thematic congruence with what's going on. And it makes the adventure a lot more satisfying when it's both fun and makes sense, from a logical perspective. And that's my rant. So I hope those of you who do back the Kickstarter end up playing and enjoying the adventure. I know I certainly enjoyed writing it. I enjoyed running it the few times that the times that I have thus far, I hope that you guys enjoy it.